How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Prozzie here with finally another moto vlog. Before I say anything, I should thank my Patreons for their support. Because of them, I've been able to upgrade from my old GoPro Hero 4 to the new GoPro Hero 8, which should look a lot better. I actually already know it looks a lot better because this is my fourth time filming this video. I'm so sick of it. Now today what I wanted to talk about is things about Taiwan that can annoy or maybe upset foreigners living here in Taiwan. Now this isn't me complaining about Taiwan. I've chosen to live here. I love living in here. Taiwan's amazing. I would strongly recommend anybody who's looking at moving abroad to give Taiwan a chance, to give it a shot, because it's super cool. So yeah, before you go and absolutely annihilate my my dislike button, just keep that in mind. I'm not complaining about Taiwan. It's just something to be looking out for if you know, you're planning on moving here. Because, you know, eventually, if you've lived here as long as I have, you come to understand these things and the differences and come to accept them. This little town alley thing, I'm so excited to explore it with you. It's really cool. It's very close to my work, but I've never been around here before. So anyways, let's get into the first thing I wanted to talk about, which is privacy, or a lack of privacy. You'd be surprised, I guess you're just coming out another way, okay. You'd be surprised how private Westerners are actually compared to a lot of other people in the world. Like, we don't like talking about money, how much money, at least I know not everyone's like that. Some people don't care about talking about money, but, you know, like in my family, you know, you're not really meant to ask how much money do you make at your job, or how much money did you make, did you pay for that car, or something like that. It's just, those are private things that are often spoken about here in Taiwan. You know, you can see that in all kinds of different ways of life, like even just like medical privacy, which is a big deal for us foreigners. You know, medical privacy does matter to Taiwanese people as well, but just to give you like an example, you know, I took a few days off work a few weeks ago, and my boss wanted to know what was wrong with me, and I kind of told her, you know, it's not too serious, I'm just going to go to the doctors to make sure it's all good, and I'll be back at work when I feel well enough. But she kind of pushed me to tell her more about like exactly what it was. I guess maybe my story wasn't believable or something, I don't know, but I felt a little uncomfortable, but I ended up telling her because, I don't know, I'm a dumb, I guess. And then my CT asked my boss where I was, and my boss told her pretty much everything, and then she went and told her friends at work, because I guess they wanted to know where I was too. And so by the time I got to work a few days later, like, everybody knew about my, like, weird medical condition. It's not a medical condition, I just had, like, some stomach problems. It's not a big deal, but I just felt it weird how quickly that sort of gossip, if you want to put it like that, spread around the school. And the reason, I understand why they did it. I'm not upset. It's just like, you know, I can understand if it could upset other people. And the reason they do this is, the reason, like, why my CT asked and why they were so comfortable talking about it amongst themselves is because they care. You know, they wanted to make sure that I'm okay, and so they asked to make sure it's nothing serious. And they're not trying to pry into my personal life or anything like that. They're not trying to gossip. They're not trying to be annoying or anything like that. They want to know that I'm okay, and it's kind of sweet. And you'll see that a lot, like with stuff like they'll call each other fat, or they might call you fat. They'll call their wives fat, which is definitely not okay in most Western cultures, you know. For example, I was talking to my CT, who's the person I work with in my classroom, because I was going to go get some bubble tea, and I wanted to know if she wanted any, and she's like, no, I can't, I'm too fat. And I was like, well, yeah, get out of here, you know. It's so funny listening to Taiwanese girls say they're fat, and, you know, they weigh like less than one of my legs, you know. And I was like, who told you you're fat? And she's like, oh, my husband says I'm fat and I should lose my weight. And I was like, what? Oh my god, like, did you rip his balls off? Like, seriously, if you're like, okay, quick, I don't know how normal that is, but if it is at all normal, Taiwanese guys, a little advice from me to you: if you want to get a foreign girlfriend, don't call her fat. Even if she is fat, even if you think she's fat, you are going to get a swift kick in the nuts if that's the way you go about it. But again, the reason why they do that here is because they care. They want to make sure that you are taking care of your body. And, you know, if you notice your partner or your spouse maybe eating too many donuts or whatever, you point it out to make sure that they maintain their health, to have a more attractive wife. So just keep that in mind. Like, a lack of privacy is something that might be a point of contention between you and the Taiwanese. But I've come to grow and learn and accept it, and just, it's whatever. Oh, cool, a Spider-Man mural. Some guy put it on the... Isn't that cool? Like some Spider-Man graffiti or whatever. This part of town's really cool. Anyways, the next thing I wanted to talk about is this a one-way street? If it isn't a one-way street, it has no business being a two-way street. I don't know where I am, but this place is cool. Anyways, the next thing I wanted to talk about was cell phone usage. Now, this might be also a problem in the West. It's not necessarily a problem, but I find it kind of funny. Because again, I left home 6 years ago, and 6 years ago, yeah, sure, a lot of people had smartphones, but not nearly to the extent that people do today. It's just a giraffe? What? Okay. So here in Taiwan, people are on their cell phones a lot. Even with, like, say for example, you're out with, like, say for example, there's a whole bunch of Taiwanese people that are out with their friends together, and there's like 6 people at a table, out for drinks, out for dinner. It's not uncommon to see all 6 people on their phones, or a couple's out on a date and they're both just on their phones, paying zero attention to each other. And that, I feel like, is something I was taught anyways not to do. Like, you shouldn't be on your phone when you're out with your friends, because it's kind of rude, especially if it's like only 2 people. It's like, am I not even here? You know what I mean? Like, for example, I was out with my friends the other day, and I guess we had a Taiwanese friend with us, and I guess like her English wasn't very good, and so she kind of fell out of the conversation, but we didn't realize, like, we thought she was still part of the conversation, and she just whipped out her phone and just started watching YouTube videos, and we were like, wait, what are you doing? Like, kind of taken aback. But anyways, I asked my Taiwanese friend why this happens, and she said it's because if there is a break in the conversation or a dull moment, you can just open your cell phone and start watching YouTube videos or talk to other people. It's just like to take a break from the conversation. I'm not sure what that means, but it's the explanation I got, and I've come to just sort of accept it. If you're out with your Taiwanese friends and they whip up their phone, it's not because they're ignoring you or they don't care about you or anything. It's just like, I don't know, not considered rude, I guess? I'm not sure. If you're Taiwanese, maybe you can explain that one in the comments section. Or maybe I'm crazy and it's just a thing with me, and maybe foreigners also don't care. I don't know. But yeah, I found that one kind of interesting and one to maybe look out for. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the education system. Now, this is going to be something that only parents are really going to care about, I think. So if you're a foreigner and you've married a Taiwanese girl and you have children, or you brought your children over here from abroad and you want to find a school for them, what you'll often find is that Taiwanese schools are pretty stressful. Taiwanese parents tend to care very much about their children's grades. Is that the coal plant out there? You guys probably can't see that, but that's actually the largest coal-firing plant in the world. I'm not sure if that's it, but it's pretty cool. Anyway, so Taiwanese people really care about their children's studies, and they put a lot of pressure on them to do very well in school. And, that's just not something that we're typically used to. I mean, we obviously want our kids to do well in school also, but what Taiwanese children go through is just bananas. Can you guys see that? Is that the coal-firing plant? Someone tell me in the comment section. I think it is. Man, that's big. So what you'll find if you're a parent is you'll find it difficult to find a school to put your kid in that you might find acceptable, because there's going to be a lot of homework, there's a lot of studying, and also Taiwanese kids go to what's called a cram school or a busiban after their normal school, and they might take extra science classes or extra math classes or English lessons or something like that. And, it's kind of hard to figure out, where do you put your kid? Like, if you want them to have a normal, like a Western education, or one that's not going to make them blow their brains out by the time they're 18, you might find it difficult to find a school, because yes, okay, there are international schools. I'm just going to come back up this hill. I'm getting way too far away from my work. I'm just on break right now. But there are international schools that have an American curriculum with Western teachers and a Western way of doing things, but those schools are very expensive, usually, so they might not have been an affordable option for you. And that's, I think, a big reason where I see foreigners leave Taiwan is they get married, they have kids, and they just can't bring themselves to put their kids through the Taiwanese education system. That's not even a problem that's specific to Taiwan. A lot of other Asian countries are like that. Japan, Korea's like that, China's like that. School is a stressful ordeal. Kids are put through a lot. they have no time, virtually no time to socialize, you know, aside from weekends, if that. Some kids still go to school on weekends. And it's rough, man. Like, it's hard. There's obviously a plus side. It means that Taiwanese people are extremely well educated and very smart. I mean, I'm 28, and I guarantee you there's 18-year-old Taiwanese kids running around that know way more shit than I do. So, you know, there's the upside, but it is something to think about, and it's a struggle. You know, I meet a lot of parents that have a really tough time with it. You know, they don't want to stress their kids out that much. And so, yeah, those are 3 things about Taiwan that can upset foreigners. Again, these are not complaints from me. I love living here. It's just something to come up that I thought of. If you're Taiwanese, what did you think? Are these things did they shock you? Did you already know about them? Are there other things that maybe I missed in this video? If you are a foreigner, is there something I missed? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd really appreciate it. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you want to support me on Patreon, I'd really appreciate it. That's why I get to film with all this cool new stuff. Pretty excited. You guys on the next, maybe the next one will be a moto vlog. Who knows?